He wasn't counted in the sense of from 20 to 60, but he was what they gave him Asa Shekel. It was a point of, I count. Now Moshe counts and we count. We're one and he's one. You can't compare the two ones. Obviously, he's the Adon HaNeviim, he's the Pablo Teva, he's, I mean, whatever it is there. But no, we can't compare them, because all those things were gifts of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not something that he was because he is. It's something that Benjamin gave him the power to be able to become that. He didn't give that to me, so you can't demand of me what Moshe Rabbeinu became. Only demand of me what I can become. But whatever I can become is equal to what Moshe could become. But Moshe has the power to become that. I don't have the power to become that. So he can't ask me to become that. So that's the point. That means that you can become as big as as the God gave you the keches to become. That you can become, just like Moshe Rabbeinu can. And in Emerson, that is the true betochen, or the true way we learn even. In other words, you gaiti v'loy matzosis al tamen. If they say that I tried and I didn't, and I don't understand, I still can't get it, that don't believe them. Now you'll say, what do you mean you can't get it? Like, they ask a lot of guys, he tries this way, this doesn't go. You know, how much is the shiur? The shiur is, there is no shiur. That's the point. What do you call it? The Talmud of Preidah took 400 times before he understood. Right? But once he understood it, he didn't forget it. That this was it. He understood it pretty clearly. It took 400 times for him to get it. But the Maisa, how can a guy try 400 times? I mean, maybe he'll get a Rebbe sometimes that can say over something 400 times. I doubt that also. But I'm saying maybe you can get that. But a Talmud to listen 400 times, that for sure you can't get. So how does he get it? Because he knew the Gemara, and he knew that the code is as long as I keep trying, I ultimately will understand. And I said, where do we have Lemaisa such a person? The thing that now with the Talmud of Preidah, we don't know who he was, whatever it is there. And it's also something we learned from that, but I'll tell you that in a minute, about, since we're on the story of the Talmud of Preidah. Etaine Achia Shiloini was such a person. Rashi, the Rambam brings down the 40 doiras between Moshe Rabbeinu and Ravashi. And he talks that Achia Shiloini was in Kabul from David, and he was Miyatzim Mitzrayim Hoya. Right? What difference in make Yatzim Mitzrayim? That means he's over 500 years old, or around 500 years old. And he's saying there, and David is 70 years old. So if he was Yatzim Mitzrayim, or he went out a little older, younger, why are you mentioning it to me? Elavos, he had to be in from David. David got it from Shmuel. Shmuel was only 52. Shmuel got it from Eli, was 98. Okay, so all of these guys, Eli, what's his name, Achia Shleni, he's still sitting in the classroom, and he's not on top of the class. And he's older than all these guys. And he's still not on top of the class. Well, ultimately, because he keeps trying, and God gave him the years, he became Achia Shleni. If somebody, let's say, doesn't start trying, right? Because what's his logic? He goes like this. How many years am I going to live? 70 years, 80 years, right? So I'll learn one halacha a day. So how much am I going to know at the end of 80 years? I'm not going to know too much, right? So what's the point, right? So I don't start. You can live 1,000 years. As long as you don't start, you're not going to know nothing, even if you live 1,000 years. But if you start and you live 1,000 years, then you'll know. Now, who can make me live 1,000 years? That's the Rebbeinu Shalom. Will he or not? I don't know. I'm saying that. Then you have the other guy who says, it's no point in my becoming a gadol. You got Yankel as the gadol. He's much smarter than me. Yeah, but he can get hit by a truck, and you don't know that. And that's tomorrow. And then you're the gadol. What are you going to do then? And if you don't start again, you're not going to be anybody. So it's always a chiyuv on all of us to start and to do as much as we can. And the thing is, everybody can become. We need all of us, whatever it is. Now the mice.
Do you see the same thing by Rabbi Akiva? Do you see the same thing by Rabbi Akiva?
That what?
He tried and he wasn't successful and he kept on trying.
Yeah, I don't know about how long it took him to keep trying. The first talk was hard. So that sometimes the Vashon gives you, but afterwards it goes like 1, 2, 3, So I don't know how much was hard for him, but the Talmud of Preidah was always hard for him. Now, the mice with the Talmud of Preidah, they gave the Vashon, let's sort of put the mice is like this. Okay, he did this every day, Preidah. One day, the Talmud heard that Preidah has to leave. So he thought he's not going to be able to spend the 400 times with him. So he didn't even listen the first time. In other words, he was so worried about the Rebbe, he's not going to stay here, that he couldn't concentrate even the first time. So at the end of the 400 times, the Preidah asked him, how come you don't know it? So he said, because I was afraid you're going to leave, and I wasn't able to concentrate. So he said it over again for the 400. I'm telling you, don't worry, I'm not leaving until you understand it. So he had that guarantee, and he did it. For that second time, he got 400 pots of gold. He lived 400 years, and the whole dog got Olam Haba. So, that's a pretty big reward, for a person. But why only for that one time? He did it every day. So why do you give only one time? Every day is my chiyuv. My chiyuv is, this is my Talmud, and my Talmud can't understand until then, and I was mekabel myself to teach him, so it's 400 times. But I did it already the 400 times. He didn't pay attention. That's not my fault. And I'm willing to do it again. That's for the Mabba. That's what you're going to get to. So you see what it's really worth. That's the point. I don't give you schar for it because that's your job. But and here, it's not your job. But you see how much schar you get for that thing.
What schar did the Talmud get for listening another 400 times?
Sorry?
The Talmud, what did he get for listening for another 400 times?
Yeah. Well, he probably, that's the Rabbeinu Yoina really. He says, they talk about the sieve, the guy that's the funnel man, goes in and out. Right? He says, what's the point of his learning? It's going in and out. He says, he could keep learning the same thing over and over and over again. He'll get the same schar because he keeps learning it. And the thing, he knows it for 2 minutes, and then he forgets it. What are you going to do? So another guy has learned the Undertaker because he doesn't forget this. He forgets he can learn the same piece of Torah. Yeah. Okay. And then he points out he should take these Gedolei Yisrael. And the funny thing is, they're not called Nasim here. They call Roshi B'nei Zamatis. And this took place 1 month after they were called Nasim. So why don't you just call them Nasim? Why don't you just say, take to the sea? Instead of have to go call your names as like they're strangers. Because the Maisa in the what do you call it, was B'chodesh Rishon B'shon HaShenis. That's when they brought the Korbanos, the Nasim. And Nasi is a month earlier. So they were already called the Nasi. So why are you hiding it like this? So Shiur said, there's 2 types of, there's a Nasi that's appointed, meaning It's elected like this one, but they're appointed like my Bensham picked out the names. In Nasai, it's what the people made the Nasi. In other words, he's the Gadol. How do you know he's the Gadol? Right? Because the people go to him. Why they go to him, I don't know why they go to him. But he's representing the Shevet. Because he's the one that's the biggest in the Shevet as far as the people are concerned. So therefore, that's it. But when it comes to money, the Yerusha of Eretz Yisrael, that already, you can't say it to come out. That's what you thought he was the guy. I thought the other guy was the big guy. Or something like that. Or we have a tainer who wants to listen to this guy, we should listen to that guy. So there the Bensham had to appoint him. That's what this thing was. This is for Chalukas Haaretz. So here already they were counted. I appointed them. But he appointed the same guys. So. Yeah. Okay. And you have here, forgot who says it, Chris Gedalis, who says it. Reison's in the name. It's on my lips, but I can't think of the words. It's spelled with a small yud. And it's read Kruye. Not Kriye, it's read Kruye. Kruye Eido is a bigger title than Kriye Eido. No, this is what that means. I can't tell you the difference. But so the shaila is, why is it read Kruye and spelled Kriye? Is to say that they're not all tzaddikim. Two of them at least were shoyim. That means what the old of Shumir ben not Yeshua ben Shadri, which is Zimri, or you want to put on also what he calls the first one, Reuven ben Shteyo, which is by Kairach, supposedly. Okay. Even though on that,
the Balaturim, I think that's
Balaturim says it. Or I think that they're not the Ralbad. There's another one. Anyway, let's see, because you have it really in Parshas Pinchas. He goes through more, and he talks about Dosav Aviram are read Kriye and spelled Kriye. I mean, I read Kriye and spelled Kriye. You know, so what makes this one worse than that one? But obviously that's what you're saying, that it's read Kriye is better than being read Kriye, even though it's spelled the other way. I don't know why, and also, what made them kol nosi b'hem? The reason that Rashi says that it means Leitza ben Shteyo, because it says the word nosi by Nisi Eido Kriyemoy Ramshi Shem by Kairach. So that's what it means. It has to be a nosi there. Maybe if you see Dosan Aviram are not Nesiim, and they call him Kriyeida, and they're what he called. So, like, what makes it say that? So I'm saying I don't know. Like, what makes him actually say that this is a chesor and this is a ma'aser? But obviously, they don't give you the full spelling and the what he called. Okay. Now, why they count it this way, I really don't know. Because by the Meraglim, the Ramban writes that the reason they put in that order is because they go according to the greatness of the people. Over here, you have to go with the same idea because it doesn't fit with, it's not with the golem, it's not with the what he called. So I don't know exactly. You can give the reasons, like the Don, when they're saying, you had Don, Osher, and then God, and then Naphtali last. An idea was that, like the Chinese, if you save somebody's life, so that you're responsible for them for the rest of your life. Something like that they had in the Chinese thing there. So the one that was Goyim for Osher to be born was Naphtali. In other words, it's a Don Naphtali, God Osher, right? So when did he give over? He obviously, you have 11 kids are going to be born in 7 years, right? So for 11 kids in 7 years, you don't have enough months to spread them out. So you got to somehow have where they come out together. So I timed it that when did let's say Billah, when did Rachel give over Billah to Yaakov was when she saw that Yehuda, that she was pregnant with Yehuda. So therefore, Yehuda could be older than Don, only about 3 months. On the other hand, once she gave Don, so Don was a full birth, and then she gave birth to Naphtali. She was pregnant with Naphtali again. So that also, like 3 months into the thing, so she gave over Zilpah. So, in other words, to have more kids, in other words, the thing. So these are the causes of their having him born. So Asher is the one, Naphtali is always taking care of Asher. The only time he's not counted is, or he's counted last, is in Zeis HaBrocha. And that could be because Moshe Rabbeinu was talking about for all generations, when every Shevet has to stand on his own, so it doesn't make a difference when he mentions it. He mentions according to birth then. But if it's talking about a bracha, like, we're all together and all this stuff, then Naphtali's last. Of all of them, Naphtali's always last. Okay. Then he goes into the countings, and by Shimon, there's one extra word in the thing, Dalton. The word is Pikudov. And if you look in Parshas Pinchas, he has one word less than anybody else, and that's the Mishpachoisam. I mean, it's Kudehem. He doesn't have the word Pikudin by him. So what I think it means is that Klal Yisrael is proportionate to itself. In other words, we all have a different tafkid in Klal Yisrael. In other words, you have Kohanim, you have Levim, that they are also the Malamdi Tanakis, the Malamdi Torah, Shimon is the Malamdi Tanakis. So you're going to have classes that they have to present enough teachers for that, right? So how many teachers do you need? So when they were 50, they're the third largest shevet, then that's the numbers we need, right? When it gets down to 22,000, which is just 200 over the amount that is this brachas chalon yeshevet vayim Yisrael al Roshi Alfei Yisrael Alfei Rivles Yisrael. So that's 22,000 is the smallest number the bracha can be chalon, and whatever that means. Don't ask me what it means. And in Pinchas, what did they have? They only had 22,000, I think 200. 1 second. See you in a second. The Shimon comes out 22, Chaim Ve'esem Aleph U'Masayim. They have 200 more than the minimum. So they don't have enough to be the right to these things. Now, what's the difference between if we have from the Shevet that one, or we have other guys? That's the klal. So we should always try to be rebellion and stuff like that. Like we rely on them. So Yeshiva said that meaning being a natural teacher and not a natural teacher. Okay, I've seen the differences, so I know. My shver was a Levi. Okay, so he had in the first grade. He taught the first grade. As I heard the story from Beniman Kamenetsky, who when he got a job as the other first grade Rebbe. And what was the first grade Rebbe? He had 88 kids in his class. And they marched out 40 kids to the Yom Kamenetsky after Yontif. He says, why after Yontif? He says, because if he would have had to pay, he told me to come back in 6 weeks. Right? He says, because I know, because if he hired me now, he'd have to pay me for 6 weeks, and I wouldn't be teaching that much, because I'm Tavin with him. So therefore, I know why he didn't want me. But where were the kids meanwhile? They're by my shver. So he was able to get. So I had once my shver was nifta. He had a Talmud Torah. He had a Talmud Torah. So we got to, people rely on it. So what are you going to do? In the end, we hired a Rebbe, and he took over the money and whatever it is, and he had it. But at that time, we didn't know what to do yet. I tried it. They left me out of the place. It doesn't make a difference. I mean, there was the noise, the things. There was in the shul, and they weren't very happy, about what the kids were doing. My wife came in the next day. Boom! No one says a sound. Right now, as far as beating the kids up, I can beat them up a lot better than my wife can beat them up. Well, the said they're scared of my wife and they weren't scared of me. So I was saying that's called a natural Rebbe. They're saying that certain people have that knack, that just a look, just a thing, and all of a sudden you pay attention. Another person can make all the things you want, doesn't make a difference. They can help you. Okay. Okay. And we count them according to the way they're going to be in the machnas. I guess only because that's the order we put them over there. And he puts down the count of the total. The total of Kol Yisrael was 603,550. Right? So you have, what's what is it? Then he counts the machnas. Now the machnas, he counts each machnas separate, and then he factors again the total and the same total. Of course the same total, the same numbers. Why would it not be the same total? And why is he counting it twice? We can count it up. The idea, I think, could be is that the just like the machna has to be a certain proportion each one for what it is. They then take that proportion to Kol Yisrael and whatever it is. So therefore, it was a total what should be in Kol Yisrael and what should be in the machnas and should be the things. And he's telling you each one is what it's supposed to be. So they all have those words. Okay. Then he counts Benati Levi separately because he didn't want them killed in the Midbar. He didn't do the ego, so he has no reason to kill them. So he doesn't tell it. Even though they're dying because they're meraglim, But it has nothing to do with it. Probably didn't do anything miraculous either. Okay. And he tells you the jobs they have, and now he tells you why they take the Kohanim, the Leviim. He says like this. This is, it says this here, and it says again in Baal Yisrael, that that the reason I'm taking the Bechorim instead of the Betarachem. Now, why did he take the Betarachem? Betarachem, why were they holy? There was no Kedushin Betarachem. So Betarachem is a different type of Kedushin. That was a secondary Kedusha which was only for Pidyon. If you take a look in Shmois, where's Pidyon mentioned already? In Parshas Boy. The end over there in Parshas Kadeshli, they have already the Pidyon, not Kadesh, Yacha is in the Pidyon. And they only had a Kedusha of Pidyon, while the Bechorah of had a Kedusha of Kohuna. And what's the difference between the two, and why did they have it? Because they should only been the Bechorah of. That's all, didn't have Kahanim or whatever it is until they made the Kohuna. The only trouble was that we wouldn't know who's who. What do I mean? Rashi brings down in Bo that the women, the wives of the Mitzrayim were mezaneh with single boys, not married men, with single boys. Why single boys? But that's the way it was. So it could be possible that in one house you'll have 10 Bechorim, because she has her own chor from her husband, and 9 from guys in mezaneh with. But now, 9 other houses won't have any Bechor, because they already had the Bechor from this married woman. So therefore, the fact that their married wife doesn't have a Bechor, even though the kid was born, a boy was born first, it's not a Bechor. Right? So how do I kill him? So I made the Petarachem holy on that day. So therefore, because of them, I'm Magdish the Petarachem, and now the Petarachem I'm able to kill. So therefore, they don't. Then the shadows go to Abayis. That's another Shadu. Also, same idea. Within Bayish and Shomes, you need to go to Abayis because there's what do you mean? No families had girls first. So obviously, there's a go to Abayis. So, but this is the point of the thing. So I had to make them holy. I was forced to make them holy, but it's not a kedusha that has any value except the $5 is bidyon. You have to redeem it. There's a kedusha. It's a redeemable kedusha, and a thing over there. Okay, so the Leviim came out to exactly 22,000. Now, if you really think about it, the Bechorim were 22,293 and 73, whatever, something like that. Shloshim and Hashem, Shloshim, 273. It was 22,273. That means 22,273 families had the Bechor. And I don't figure out how many families are in Klal Yisrael, but that's how many families had a Bechor. It's a lot of Bechor. The Chayr sounds like a lot. Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then he counts them 2 different times. One he counts Mechoidish V'mala, in other words, to 50. And then he counts them 30 to 50. And it's the one who has the most of all has the least of 20 to 50, or vice versa. In other words, what is that supposed to tell me? I don't know. But it means that somehow it's not a guarantee you have more kids. You're going to have more kids in the bottom. It don't work that way. You know, sometimes yes, sometimes no. And that was this. They had the different, what do you call it? Now, how they picked out which guys to pay the 5 shkolim, I don't know. No, it's 273 guys paid 5 shkolim. The others were just redeemed by a levy. So, like, why should I have to pay the 500? Let him pay the $5, you know, something like that. Go to the end for a second. I'll have to see if it about something about Shavuos or something. It says over there at the end of the Seder that Kohos was by Kosev Yisrael. They carried it. They didn't have wagons in the end. The wagons were only from Neighborovi and Bnei Gershon. And they carry the things by the wagons themselves. I mean, the pieces themselves. So they wanted, before the Kohasim were able to carry it, the Kohanim had to go cover it. And I don't remember my shtickle Torah here. And I'm trying to get it from someone that heard it, and he remembers the pshat before the other pshat. But I remember Rabbi Gabriel Fried's shtickle Torah, what he said. So I'm going to give you over his thing, because mine I can't remember. What it says over there, the reason they covered it is, one, it says they shouldn't see it and die. It's a loss of chilam, and one of the chassidus to go to Pharaoh's army cave work by the custom. Loss of lo yigu el hakodesh from Esu. They won't touch it and die. That's the first pasuk says. And then it says in the end, lo yivoyu lirais kivalas hakodesh from Esu. They won't see it and they'll die. So what are they dying for? They're dying from seeing it, or they're dying from touching it? And the thing over there. And I don't know if there was any actual Isa of seeing it, because when the Beis HaMikdash stood, they used to bring it out, the Shulchan and the Menorah, to show it to the people and stuff like that. So obviously, there's no avla in seeing it. So what's the avla of touching it? That seems to be the avla. So on the time, why that by seeing it certain ways, you touch it. He said, I don't remember what I said, so I can't say it. If you look for another pshat, then you know that that's not the only pshat, it's the only thing. He gave a moshel that if you see, you see furniture, and set up Masuda the way it's supposed to be, you're impressed. Wow, so you keep your hands off. Go to a furniture store, they're all laying up, they have 50 couches in one place, and you want to pick out one of the things over there, you don't see about the couch. So, because you're not machshav it, you can get to touch it. Now, with certain things, keep your hands off. We understand it's holy, I don't touch it. But if I don't see the holiness of it, I'm not affected in it. So that was his pshat. So therefore, the seeing it will cause you to touch it. That's the point. So therefore, you want to cover it completely. That's not that you can't see, you can't touch it. Now, is this a big number? So 600's already coming out. It's Shana Shenis, right? Achari Hasheni, we have Chamushim Olam outside. 1/5 only went out. That means Klal Yisrael was 4/5 more. That means, let's say that's 600,000, so it's another 24,000. What do you call it? So with approximately 3,200,000 men would have been the number if it would have been. It also gives an idea how much money it would have been. Because like yeah. Well, so somehow if you won't touch it, you won't do something. So you had approximately 3 million. Since women didn't die, so that's approximately the number of women you had, between 20 and 60. Then you have the under 20s and over 60s, which were not counted. So who knows how many they were? We have no idea how much they were. So I'm saying, so when you count Klal Yisrael, you keep talking about 600,000. It's not really 600,000 you're talking about 3-4 million people. Nafkamina Ligabi Shabbos. When you talk about Yitzim Mitzrayim or Reshus Harabim, are we talking about 600,000? Or are you talking about a bigger number? And this was Negeya for the Brooklyn area business. Originally, they came to Rosh Yeshiva years ago. They went to Rosh Yeshiva to sign on the Erev, that it's a good Erev. So he told them that an Erev is made by local Rabbanim. It's not made by other Rabbanim. It's made by the local Rabbanim. So you want to make an Erev, make an Erev. No one's going to stop you, right? If you don't sign, nobody's going to use it. Okay. So he didn't take their words for it. He sent one of the boys down to the Brooklyn Borough Hall, and get the population of Brooklyn, the size of Brooklyn. The size of Brooklyn is 9 miles by 7 miles. The population of Brooklyn is over 4 million. Those are legal. Count the illegals, you got a lot more. And what's Machne Yisrael? Machne Yisrael was 9 by 9. It's 12 mil by 12 mil. It's approximately 9 by 9. That means Brooklyn is smaller than Machne Yisrael. So therefore, if Machne Yisrael will contain the number of Yotzei Mitzrayim, it's Reshus HaRabim that an Erev won't help you. And that's the problem. Now, it's not an Erev meaning the spring Erev. A wall will help you, but Canarsie has a wall, so what do you call it? Seagate has a wall. Canarsie, they wanted to do it, except they had a problem with Remsen Avenue. Remsen Avenue went through the walls, but they have a wall around Canarsie. Around Canarsie, there's an actual wall. The subway system somehow built up big things there that they run on big hills, like. So they're mamish walls. But the Maisa, Remsen Avenue goes through it. So therefore, the Shiloh for an avenue goes through, and it's bigger than what do you call the Shishim Ribui. So now you got a problem, stuff like that. Or you find some kind of heter like they did with Queens Boulevard. They were going through Forest Hills, and whatever it is. They have to have tail for certain things. But I said, but it's a different angle than the rest of Brooklyn. But the rest of Brooklyn was that it's too small for the population that it has to make it into Reshus HaRabim. That's the problem with Brooklyn. Queens, on the other hand, is also attached to Brooklyn. So St. Albans and those parts where the Arabs live, those guys, the Schwarzes live, that Taki would be also, you can't make an Erev. But Forest Hills and Kew Gardens and then Far Rockaway and those things, you can make an Erev because Queens is very big comparatively there. So therefore you can make an Erev over there. So that's the point of knowing the differences of how many people you have makes a difference. That. Let's see. That was. The story is the Beis Yosef story about why we stay up on Shavuos night. Anything there. It seems that in Tzvas you had all the Arizals and those people, whatever, they were all there. And a couple only were sitting and learning, and a malach came. And they all would have been there, so they would have all seen the malach. And they must have went to sleep. The next night they stayed up. Okay, so really the staying up is the second night. We used to have, I don't know if we still have them or not, we used to have machmirim here who stood up both nights. Slept both days, but now we still have them. Okay, still have them, okay. And Afkamina is the Rosh Hashiva kept learning all day, and everybody else was all sleeping all day. And they used the thing though. The Yeshiva was the thing that he didn't stay up. So that's the thing. In other words, you got to be ready. That's the point. In other words, they're going to give you something. There's something special going to come out. You got to be ready for the thing. Obviously, it knocks you out, and it takes away a certain amount of strength, and you're going to sleep through more hours maybe than you would have actually learned, and stuff like that. But l'maisa, sometimes you need a dedicated maisa to somehow inspire you, whatever you want to call it. In other words, we stay up. That inspires us, that we'll try again to be masmidim and stuff like that. Well, if you don't have it, then it's just another day, you don't feel it. And there isn't talking much the shuas. There's nothing to do with to do anything. I mean, even though we say in Matan Teresenu, but in the Torah it doesn't talk about that. It talks about Shtei Alechem, it talks about the Shiur Tisperli, but it's Matan Teresenu, it doesn't say that. Everything there. So, understand, they don't understand. Now also, why did the Moshe Rabbeinu had to add a third day, which was a logical thing, Moshe Rabbeinu. But what was the Rabbeinu Shlem's for? That he said that, told him 2 days I'll teach you Elisha, right? So the man, he can go to mikveh that same day. But the woman that told the Zerah is metame till 3 days. If you clean it out, I guess it's not metame, but if you don't clean it out, and it's a shiloh, then you have to clean it out with probably Yisuf Zalvatola. So therefore, the last day they'll be betumeh. So for that, the same thing, he added the third day, Al Tikshali says that a woman should not be betumeh when they by Kabbalah Satira. So we see this importance of women also somehow having the scene of Kabbalah Satira. The Rashir Taki used to lose that lotion. God will Torah l'chupel l'maisim tevin. Didn't say God will ben Torah l'chupel l'maisim tevin. God will chupel Torah l'maisim. That was a girl. A woman also has to have Torah. The really difference between a woman and a man is Choshe Mishpach, she needs the whole thing. Chaim, a good half. They got mitzvahs, they got tzitzis, film. Another thing, but Shabbos she needs, and Yontav she needs, and all the things she needs. Even Ezel, pretty much about half she needs. What do you call it? The Odeya she needs more than the man. And this thing over there, because she needs this and all that stuff is in there. So, you're doing back the Torah that she needs a lot more. There's a difference though in the Torah. This is some right to this. There's a story. The Gemara looks for Kasha in Kedushin. How far is Kibbut Avim? The Gemara says, "We'll bring a raya from Doma from a goy, lived in Ashkelon, and Doma ben Asina Shmoy, and they bring the rayas." Yes, the Kasha, there's no Jew that you could bring a raya from. You have to pick a raya from a goy. There's no Jew that gave Kibbut Avim. Doesn't make sense. It's got the stickle. That's Kasha. It's got the not mine. That's the Sfasemis' Kasha. And the Sfasemis answers that the Gemara is talking about the Shvach of Klal Yisrael. That in other words, Dama ben Asina, what did he do? He went and he was the Chabad of Imai, and because of that, the Bench gave him a Paraduma. And the Paraduma, he says, I only want the money I lost because I kept Kibbut Avim. But I'm not taking, I could charge a kol in the alma, but I'm not doing that because I know that the reason I have it is only because I'm the kind Kibbut Avim. So he seems to be a great guy, this guy, Dama ben Asina, right? Okay, they say that. But obviously the Parat Doma is not doing, right? Obviously it wasn't given to him, obviously. Kibbut Avim technically wasn't given to him either. I mean, but he says, but he understood it. So what he's saying is, a mitzvah I understand, I can spend all the money for. You guys can spend money, all the money, for even mitzvahs you don't understand. So it's a shvach for Klal Yisrael. He was saying that Sasemis is Torah. But the idea is that that the rayas, the kasha was still a good kasha. You couldn't find a Jew to tell you about it. And in reality, the Gemara brings stories of Tarfon laid on the floor. They made sure that his mother's feet did not touch the floor. Like, that's pretty good. I mean, you're laying on, you've got to crawl on the street, on the floor, and making sure you this. It's a pretty hard job. I don't know, if a guy can do that, right? So why don't you bring up Tafel? And the Gemara has a kasha, B'noi v'hu rabbi, ma'olam edufnei yoviv. Now it's Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Cheskel, where the son is bigger than the father. Does he stand up for the father? That's his father. Why don't you bring the raya from woman? You have all the stories of the guy standing up for his mother, right? He's bigger than his mother, so why is he sticking up for his mother? So this I want to mechadish, that there's a difference. A woman, a man has a chiyuv limrat Torah. Since he has a chiyuv limrat Torah, he has to respect everybody that can teach him. So if the guy's a Talmud Chacham, even though he's not my Rebbe, I got to give him covered. The thing over there. A woman doesn't have a mitzvah of Talmud Torah. So all she has is a mitzvah to learn what she needs, which is the rest of Torah. So I assume that Taufin's mother asked her husband, not her son. And therefore the one that she has to give cover to is her husband, not her son. The thing there. While on the other hand, Rabbi Yehuda, which was the Shiur of Rabbi Cheskel, the question is he's bigger than his father. So the question is, his father has to stand up for him though. So now that's the problem. So therefore, does he also have to stand up for his father? And that's a baidul yifshut. Okay. In reality, I hold they both stood up for each other. That's not the guy should get. Why? Because till Rabbi Yehuda became Rabbi Yehuda, I assume Rabbi Cheskel taught him Manshas. It's only after when he started to getting into the wonders and the stuff, he became bigger than his father. But in the stuff what's written, his father taught it to him, so of course he has to give it. And we know for a klal, Talmidim shebebavel hayoyim zeh mipnei zeh afil hagadol fnei hakotan, because it's impossible. They're all in one base marriage. We don't learn one from the other. So even the big guys learn from the little guys. So we have to stand up for them. So what's the shayla? So what was the havamina? The havamina was that Shmuel may not stand up for him. So he says, what do you mean Shmuel one may not stand up for him? That's we have to learn the story. That's why it's important to learn the stories. They got it. This. Why would you think he would not stand up for him? She says, so because Shmuel stood up for Rabbi Cheskel all the time, because Rabbi Cheskel is a Bar Meiser. So why would you think you would be Potter? What happened is Shmuel doesn't see him, and therefore he doesn't stand up for him this time. He didn't see him, but I saw him. Do I stand up for him? So this is a new halacha that we learn that probably every one of us is Abraham. Not can't say every one of us, but whatever it is. You'll have the Gadol Hador talking. We have an asifa, right? 10,000 people place. The Gadol is talking, and number 2 Gadol comes in. Everybody jumps up. You're disturbing the Gadol's speech. How are you allowed to do that? The Gadol's not getting up for him now. So why are you guys getting up for him? That's what you see over here. And that's the shayla. When he doesn't see me, what do I do then? That's the thing. That's his father, but if it's not a father, I have 2 rebbeim. But the Rebbe, the Ikers, the Gadol, and what he calls, he's the Muvik, no more than the other guy is. So then for Shteiter, I have to give it to that guy. And these are the laws of Kavrat Torah. One other thing, I think I mentioned it, we're finishing Sfira now, or we finished Sfira technically. I wrote it already. Right? Finished Sfira. But what's this whole thing in the Sfira? You know, we have a Havamina that Rabbi Akiva's Talmidim were not Mechabed, their friends. Can't be. Rabbi Eliezer in the second parak, he says the three things he says is the Talmidim of Rabbi Yechim Azakai says that he used to cover Chaver Tishalach. So he said, and he's the Rebbe of Rabbi Akiva. So Rabbi Akiva, I'm sure, taught this. And if he taught it, and he saw the guys are not giving covered, he would have given a good schmooze, right, about this. So why are you telling me that it didn't happen? So I learned Pshat, and there's no question that they all gave cover to their friends. Now, he's my friend, I stand up for my, nobody's touching him. But I'm not machshav his teire. I'm not saying that, his teire, that's my buddy, he's Yankel. He's Yankel, it's not I don't have to give him covered. He's my buddy, that's the point. I wasn't machshav the teire of your friends. They grew up, they're not Yankel anymore. The Rebbe Yankel Chalakochis, they're not Johnny anymore. That's the point that they didn't give him covered. Not because they didn't give covered, actually. I didn't care about my friends. Of course I cared about my friends. But I didn't care about them to be machshav their teiche. And that could be a gaivadik union, because a lot of people brag. I was in the same class as he was. So when he was a kid. So what are you trying to say? You're smart as him, you grew up to be him? No. But I could have, or I would have, or I was at least, he rubs off on me some, whatever it is. That's the point. And that's not my fault. Have a good Shabbos and a good Yontif and an emphasis of Kabbalah Satera to everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had it? Yeah.